Let's turn to Gaza now, where the Hamas-run civil defense agency says at least 20 people have been killed when 4 lorries overturned on a crowd seeking aid. It's not known what caused the vehicles to tip over near the Nuseirat refugee camp in the centre of the territory. Gaza's health ministry says 138 people have been killed by Israeli strikes over the last 24 hours. It also said 5 more have died from malnutrition, bringing the total since the war began to nearly 200, around half of them children. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will hold a cabinet meeting on Thursday to discuss a reported plan for the full occupation of Gaza. It's a move that's been condemned by the country's opposition.
I
told the Prime Minister just now, occupying Gaza is a very bad idea. The state of Israel does not go to war unless the majority of the people are behind you. And the Israeli people are not interested in this war. Occupying Gaza is a bad idea operationally, it is a bad idea morally, it is a bad idea economically.
Yair Lapid there speaking a little earlier. Well, let's talk now to our correspondent Hugo Bachega in Jerusalem. Hugo, good to see you. I want to begin, before we get into the politics, I want to begin by talking about some pictures we've received in the last couple of hours of aid being dropped from the air. Now, this is something that the aid agencies have said is, highly dangerous for the people trying to get hold of that aid. And as we talk to you and we're running these pictures, this is in Gaza City, the danger is obvious as desperate people rush forward to try to make sure that they can reach some of that aid, Hugo.
Exactly, Anita, and I think it really shows the desperate situation for the vast majority of the population in Gaza as this catastrophic humanitarian crisis continues, according to the United Nations. Aid agencies say that, airdrops are not going to solve this crisis. They have been urging Israel to allow more lorries into the territory. They say that, still a very limited amount of aid is getting in, despite the easing of restrictions announced by the Israeli military under international pressure because of the situation in Gaza. There was some Israeli officials are saying that what is also happening is that 80% of the lorries getting in are not reaching their destinations, and that's because the lorries are being interrupted by looters, by criminal gangs, but also by crowds of desperate Palestinians trying to seek aid. So there is also a problem that, in many parts of Gaza, this aid, is unable to reach, large numbers of people. So this is, another factor in this very, complicated crisis happening in Gaza. A number of countries blaming, the Israeli restrictions on the entry and distribution of aid for the current situation in Gaza, something that the Israeli authorities have strongly rejected. But again, we continue to, receive reports of people dying from starvation and malnutrition as a result of this crisis in Gaza.
To those comments then by Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid saying that a full occupation of Gaza would be operationally, morally and economically unjustified. Will that hold any sway with Benjamin Netanyahu ahead of this cabinet meeting on Thursday?
Well, it seems that the Prime Minister has already made a decision to expand the military operation. I think the question is about how far he's willing to go. So a number of reports quoting an unnamed Israeli official, widely believed to be Prime Minister Netanyahu himself, saying that he has decided to fully occupy Gaza. Now, this is a plan that faces strong opposition from parts of the military leadership. There was a very tense exchange yesterday in a meeting between the Prime Minister and the Chief of Staff of the Army, who told him that an occupation of Gaza would be a trap, and that an expansion of the military offensive in Gaza would endanger the lives of the hostages who are still being held in Gaza. And this is very much the position of the families of the hostages who are against an expansion of the conflict in Gaza. They say that the only way way to rescue the hostages, the 20 hostages who are believed to be alive in Gaza, is through a negotiated deal with Hamas. I've got to say that, the recent polls in Israel have been consistent in saying that the vast majority of the population want to deal with Hamas for the release of the hostages and to end the war. The most recent poll last week suggested that 80% of the population in Israel want the end of the war. So any decision to expand the conflict is likely to be extremely unpopular in Israel and also among some Israel's international allies.
Hugo, thank you very much. Hugo Bachega in Jerusalem.